Let's talk about ULEZ now. That's ultra-low emission zone. If you didn't know, I'm sure you did. Sir Sadiq Khan's decision to expand this zone proved pretty unpopular with a number of London councils, but a new report has shown that it's those very areas that have seen the largest reductions in air pollution. And Sir Sadiq joins me now. Very good morning to you.
Good to be with you.
Thanks for coming in. So, yes, I mean, you did face a lot of opposition when you proposed expanding the ULEZ zone in London, didn't you? So what is your research telling you about the impacts as you see them?
Look, people may not realise this. I didn't until a few years ago, but no level of air pollution is safe. It can lead to thousands of premature deaths and a whole host of health issues from asthma to cancer, heart disease, strokes and dementia. And what this 1 year's worth of data shows, and it's been analysed and checked by international experts from Imperial College, from Germany, from Belgium, from France, from York University, is the ultra-low emission zone works. It's led to substantial improvements in air quality in London. The three big pollutants, poisons, are nitrogen dioxide, nitrogen oxides and particulate matter. We've seen across London a 27% reduction in nitrogen dioxide, a 36% reduction in NOx, and a 31% reduction in particulate matter in outer London. And that means all of Londoners, almost 10 million, are now breathing cleaner air. And in 99% of the air quality monitors, we saw a massive improvement in air. And here's the really good news that I'm really proud of. The quality of air in London is improving much faster than the rest of the country. So we're breathing cleaner air, which means longer lives.
Well, Heidi Alexander is now Transport Secretary. Some people have described her as the architect of ULEZ, and she's supposed to be a fan of 20-mile-an-hour zones as well. So do you expect similar low-emission zones to be, and the costs and the fines that go along with them, to be rolled out across the country now?
What we shouldn't have is a one-size-fits-all approach. What's right for London as a policy may not be right for Luton, because it depends on...
The principle of these zones, do you think that they will happen in cities up and down the country?
I think the principle of us recognising air pollution is bad and we've got to clean it up is really important. If we were speaking 60 years ago, there'd be a discussion and debate about whether tobacco is dangerous and whether we should reduce smoking. I'm hoping now people know the science is quite clear. Air pollution kills, causes harm. But there are now policies, world-leading policies, to reduce air pollution. And international experts tell me there is no one policy that's had the impact on air quality improvements that ULEZ has had. And I'm hoping other cities, and we've seen some cities already doing it, Bristol, Oxford, parts of West Yorkshire, will introduce their own clean air zones.
But some motorists might say, I get that, but it's costing me a lot of money, and if I don't know about it, I get fined for it, and it's a bill of hundreds of pounds. And the Tories, meanwhile, will say that you're waging a war on motorists.
Well, look, this has not been anti-car. This has been anti-poison. So in London, we've seen the non-compliant cars go down by a huge amount, and we've supported financially almost 69,000 cars to be scrapped, and they've been replaced by cleaner vehicles. So where it's possible, clearly it's better to use active travel, to walk, cycle, use public transport. But where it's not, of course you should be able to drive. The point is, often you don't realise, by driving a polluting vehicle, you yourself are breathing in poison. Your kids in the back are breathing in poison, and those around you. What we've seen in London is actually cleaner air in central London, in inner London and in outer London. And the big prize is actually it has had no negative impacts on retail expenditure, on leisure expenditure. Footfall's gone up in outer London.
I want to ask you about Donald Trump. You've not always had the best relationship with Donald Trump yourself. I mean, I've got a couple of the insults that you've thrown at each other. I won't embarrass you and read them out, but things haven't been great between the two of you. How did you feel seeing Keir Starmer last week cozying up to Donald Trump in the White House?
Look, I think we're living in unprecedented times. In my adult life, I've not seen what I've seen in the last few years. Russia invading Georgia, annexing Crimea 3 years ago, again illegally invading Ukraine. What does Russia want? Russia wants the USA to be disentangled from Europe, to leave NATO. Russia's pleased we've left the European Union. And so I welcome what Keir Starmer's doing as our Prime Minister, being really close to Europe and the EU and being really close to USA as well. And I accept when the government says it's in the national interest for President Trump to have a state visit. Me personally, look, my views on President Trump in his second term haven't changed. And I'm sure you'll see when President Trump comes to the UK, Londoners and Brits exercising our right of freedom of speech and freedom of protest and letting our views be known.
You didn't want him to come last time round.
Well, I think my views on President Trump are known by everybody. They've not changed in his second term. And unlike the views of Vice President J.D. Vance, we do, in fact, have free speech in this country, which includes the right to protest. And I expect you'll see Londoners and those across the country letting their views be known loud and clear if and when President Trump comes.
A quick thought on the impact of some of this on the public finances, which are very strained already. Clearly, the foreign aid budget is going to be cut as a result. We've also heard Rachel Reeves, not connected to defence spending, but in a reflection of how tight things are at the moment. The Chancellor has talked about planning several £billion in spending cuts to the welfare budgets. How do you feel about that? I mean, Labour has always said that it stands for, the poor, looking after the most vulnerable. Do you feel uncomfortable about this?
Well, I know what it's like to inherit a mess. I think Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer's inheritance is far worse than mine was as Mayor of London. So one of the jobs Rachel has to do is fill this black hole of £22 billion. You do it two ways, raising money and reducing expenditure. At the same time, we know, because of the unprecedented times we live in, we've got to increase defence expenditure.
But is welfare the place to come?
Well, let's wait and see what's announced in Rachel Reeves's budget. We are a party that believes in social justice. The fact that Rachel's suggesting this is not because she wants to do so. I'd argue the previous government actually wanted to, make savage cuts to public services. Rachel Reeves and her team have got to make tough choices in relation to how you balance the books. And I know from London, look, if you've got businesses thriving and flourishing, it means they're doing better, they're paying taxes, which benefits public services. And what we need as soon as possible is our economy firing all cylinders.
OK, there's so much I could talk to you about, but we are out of time. So Sadiq Khan, thanks very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.